All right, so I wanted to give a quick 3-minute beginner's tips for sourdough because I know when you're first getting started, it's very confusing, very overwhelming. There's a lot of misinformation, and of course, there's different ways to do things, but I'm going to tell you the basics of how I do things. So, first things first, the starter, the most important. What is it? It's just flour and water. You have to feed it every day if you're going to keep it on the counter. You can feed it maybe once a week if you want to keep it in the fridge. But you can't forget to feed it or it will get moldy. So after you feed it, it will rise, usually around double the size, maybe more. Once it is risen, you can then start using it. So mix all your ingredients together. I can do a recipe in another video. When you mix all your ingredients together, what you then want to do is, first, you don't put in the salt right away. Some people do, some people don't. But traditionally speaking, you mix everything together, no salt, let it sit, which is the auto whatever, I forget the word. Whatever. It sits for a half hour. After that half hour, you then put in the salt. And then, after that is when you start your stretch and fold, which I can do that in another video. But basically, you're taking your dough ball and you're pulling in each 4 sides and then letting it sit for another half hour. Some people wait an hour. I usually wait a half hour. And you're going to do 4 rounds of stretch and fold. So 4 of each of that half hour. Do it again. So you're going to do that 4 times. After that, what you need to do is you're going to put it, well, this is what you'd mix it in, of course, a mixing bowl. And up until now, you're in the mixing bowl. And then after you finish your stretch and folds, also when you're in between stretch and folds, I usually put a shower cap on the bowl. You can cover it with a towel, whatever you want, but it should be covered. And then after the stretch and folds, you're going to do bulk fermentation, where you want the dough to rise at least like 50%. That can range depending on the heat of your kitchen and things like that. Typically, I let it rise probably about 4 to 6 hours. That's what I find best. Some people do it a lot longer. Next thing you're going to do is shape it. Again, we can do another video on that. And then you'll put it in something like this. This is called a banneton basket. You don't have to use this. You can just use a small mixing bowl. But once you shape it, again, in another video, we'll talk about that. You put it in here. Again, cover it with either your shower cap or your towel or whatever. Put it in the fridge, and that's your cold proofing. You're going to leave it in there, I'd say at least 12 hours. The cold proofing is optional, but I do recommend it as it helps the sour flavor come out. You can leave it in there a couple days too if you want a deeper sour flavor, but typically I'd say around 12 to 24 hours is how long you should leave it. Also, for cooking, I typically use a Dutch oven. You want to preheat the oven with the Dutch oven inside of it. I usually do 450, and I usually cover it for the first 30 minutes, and then take this off and put this back in the oven for, I usually do 20, sometimes 25 minutes. Depends on the size of the loaf as well. Also, so you know, when you are feeding your starter, usually you discard half of it before you feed it again. The reason for this, simply, otherwise it keeps doubling and you're going to have oodles and oodles of discard. You can also bake with discard. There's different discard recipes, but we can talk about that later. So this is the discard. What is it? It's simply unfed starter, okay? So you can keep this in your fridge. You can cook with it. If your sourdough starter ever gets moldy or something, you can kind of bring it back to life with this. Also, when it comes time to bake, you want to make sure you have something to score it with. You can just use a knife if you don't have one of these fancy blade tools. But you want to score a line on the sourdough, and this is so that you can kind of control where it puffs up. Otherwise, it might puff up at an undesired spot. So, also, lastly, this video did not end up being 3 minutes, so I don't think I'll be able to post it everywhere. But we know we can post it on TikTok. So, also, after you bake, you have to let it sit. I know you want to eat it, you want to look at it, but you should wait. Typically, people say like 1 to 3 hours. I don't think an hour is enough. The reason is it's not done cooking. It still cooks after it's out of the oven. The steam helps it cook the inside. So that's why you have to wait. I typically wait about 3 hours. It does depend on the size of the loaf, but that's a good starting point. It's about 3 hours. So, oh, and also, parchment paper is your friend. Parchment paper is what you'd put the sourdough on before you put it in the Dutch oven. There's also little, I forget what they're called, little mats that you can put the sourdough on and put them in the Dutch oven if you're looking for something a little more eco-friendly. I'd say that's the basics. I think it can be very confusing and very overwhelming in the beginning, and you're like getting bits and pieces of information from everywhere. But that's my overview. I'm going to do more in-depth videos on all of these things. I'm just kind of starting out this channel right now. Oh, also, I wanted to add in this video, because this is one thing when I was looking for stuff. Usually, you know, you might get a video like this where I talk about the basics, but there's nowhere where it lays out what the recipe for the sourdough is. So typically what I do is, most people do by grams, so you're gonna want to get like a little kitchen scale. Yeah, they're cheap. You can get them on Amazon. So you'd put your bowl on, zero it out, and you do 100 grams. I do 100 grams of starter, and there's many different recipes for this, but this is my go-to. 100 grams of starter, 350 grams of water, 500 grams of flour, and 10 grams of salt. But like I said, the salt would be added in after that first 30-minute wait. So I guess it's all. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want any videos on anything else. I'll probably do a more in-depth starter video, a stretch and fold video, scoring, whatever else you want, let me know.